So we can go over the tasking first, Dave, when you find it. We'll, you want to go over that first?
Let's do it. Is it sharing my screen?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I could see it.
I am all sorts of confused here. I hope that it records our video. I always have so many issues with Zoom. So,
So,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
okay, all
Yeah.
right, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and read the tasking. The remote viewers involved in this project will disregard any and all assumptions by anyone. In the 2020 United States election, Donald Trump's campaign accuses the Biden campaign of voter fraud. The remote viewers will optimally perceive how such fraud actually occurred if it did. If voter fraud did not occur, the remote viewers will focus in on the discussion between Trump and his team to tactically deal with his losing poll numbers at the time. Remote viewers will be protected and unnoticed at the target event. Intention of the project is to identify if voter fraud on a large scale actually occurred in the 2020 presidential election or if it did not. Also, if voter fraud did occur on a large scale, to identify how this voter fraud occurred and by who or what group or affiliation. So, you guys, and I talked to John about this too. You guys, it's clear enough for you guys as far as what I'm looking for in this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, all right. So, because to be honest with you, I expected really nothing. To be honest with you, I thought you guys were going to come tell me you were going to hone in on Trump, talking to all those guys and all this and that. But the session got very weird very quickly, and it's the first time it's kind of happened this way for me. So why don't you, Elle? You were the first one that came back to me with data. So why don't you go ahead and describe your session if you would, if you want to go through that.
Sure. So I ended up doing three parts because the first time that I came back in the session, it was that there's some kind of a consciousness convergence technology and crafts monitoring the whole human population and recording everything that happens in Earth's history, and that there's mind control technology basically controlling the human population in perceiving things one way when in reality it's not that at all and it's different. And I saw this 5D reality where these crafts are in this technology. It's not manned by anybody, it's just a technology that different extraterrestrials have developed and left here for us to discover eventually. And this 5D environment, it's shielded and cloaked by portals. And someone in the military or something is putting devices on huge skyscraper apartment towers to try to bring down this cloaking shield around this 5D environment above Earth cities. So I saw a lot of like floating sky cities, light ships, and this consciousness convergence crafts. And they're continuing to monitor humanity, and supposedly they're supposed to help to upgrade humans in the next ascension upgrade of some sort so we can see more clearly the reality we live in so that we're no longer lied to or manipulated with mind control devices. And I saw several different devices like this energetic frequency around people's heads and bodies, and somebody from afar is sending AI signals to control people to do stuff that's not of their free will choice. Then I saw the scorched earth syndrome, like different factions of psychotic cabal trying to burn down the planet, poison the food, poison the water sources, depopulate, reduce our resources basically to make us helpless. I also saw two presidential candidates, a female thinking about starting World War III and not making much sense, and a male candidate that feels helpless, like he can't do much in government even though he wants to, like his hands are tied. And then I saw a lot of men being led through this kind of a circular sphere or a white arch in this white room of some sort, going
Mhm.
down through some kind of a tunnel or spinning or a portal and coming out somewhere else with medical procedures done on them. And they're feeling much better after. It's like a whole new people came out from some kind of, I guess maybe experimentation or something. I had portals, I had shielded technology, mind control, and I had a man that's in a lot of trouble, seems to be worrying a lot, pacing. He's not told the truth to the world, and he's worried about being exposed. Government corruption, a lot of corruption going on, and that this whole thing is going to be blown wide open, and he and his team are going to be exposed for something wrong that they did because it's him and his team, his people. That's basically the gist of what I had in these three parts.
So you had, I just want to say that I remember the white space actually came up in a few of the sessions, if I remember correctly. And I remember going over this because this was the first one back, and I'm going over and I'm like, what is this? And I see the part of the election, mention of the election, and the female, or just some, it was as if you were kind of in the room listening to a discussion about something on a political scale, and I was like, pump the brakes, wait a minute. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, it's not the 2020 election that I was listening to. It's the current 2024-25 election.
Mhm.
Kamala Harris is the one, the female candidate wanting to start World War III. And Trump has his hands tied because he wants to make the changes, like all the necessary changes in government, but powerful, corrupted individuals are not letting him do the work he needs to do. Basically, that's what I saw. I knew right away which
Yeah,
presidential candidates I was looking
yeah.
at. Because the
Oh,
current
yeah.
presidential candidate is female, and the other one is male. So it's Trump and Harris.
Mhm. Yeah. That was kind of my assessment over the whole thing too. Is well, actually, I was telling Russell this. I said I don't think they're going to let him win this election, even if he wins this thing. Um, Dave, you want to go over? Thanks, Al. Do you have any comments about L's session, Dave, or do you want to go straight into yours? Is there anything else you want to mention on that?
I noticed that it said that only I can share. I'm so bad with Zoom, so I set it to all participants if you wanted to share anything.
Do you want me to show my remote viewing quickly, like what I had?
If you had anything that you wanted to screen share, and it like
Sure.
prevented you, I just enabled that. So
Okay, yeah, I can share it easily just to so you guys can see. Can you see that?
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just share some of the images because it was wild. Like this is the whole write-up. This is some of the sky cities that I was seeing in that 5D space. Very futuristic, very AI-ish. Nobody there, but ready for us to go into these spaces and work with this technology. That's these sky cities, and there's these basically these oops, sorry. Oh, stopped. I don't know why it stopped. Just let me reopen this. It got closed off. Can edit that out later on. Basically, these sky cities are ready for us to inhabit, and we're good to go with that stuff. And that it's built for us, but like it's really weird stuff. So I'm gonna reshare that. Let me just share that again because it got disrupted. All right, I'm just going to redo my little part. So I was seeing a bunch of sky cities here that this is the 5D technology, floating sky cities above Earth 3D, that 5D reality. A lot of AI stuff came up, like AI signals that nobody's living here in these future cities that are ready for us to work with this technology. Some of these consciousness convergence crafts, more floating cities. These are those shielding systems and the mechanism that's cloaked that I was talking about, that somebody wants to uncloak this, the military, and to see this technology and use it. Like there's weird stuff appearing over cities. And again, this technology on the skyscraper city, like human cities, this technology being put on the tall apartments to uncloak this 5D environment, but where these cities are and light ships, light craft, consciousness convergence, and they look like some of them like typical UFOs, the saucer disc shaped, very advanced technology. This is the consciousness convergence stuff that's recording human history, what happens supposedly in government, the corruption, the mind control, this new Earth, what this looks like in 5D as we're being upgraded. So there's a lot of sci-fi, it looked like sci-fi, consciousness stuff coming up that was really different from what I usually see in remote viewing, the scorched earth issue of different programs, Men in Black and other programs wanting to depopulate scorched earth. And this is the mind control technology, the energetic spinning stuff and the energy frequency, mind controlling people's brains around their heads. And that's kind of done on a consciousness level, splitting the two hemispheres of the brain, kind of utilizing different portions to do the AI signaling, food disruption, food being poisoned. And this is the most interesting, those sphere kind of corridors or arches in the white room space where the men are being taken and something is done to them. Their medical things are being done to them, and they come out being different people, like feeling brand new, not quite remembering what happened to them, like being dropped out of some kind of a portal or tunnel system. That's what I was getting quite a bit of. Yeah, and that's
A few of
basically.
a few of the
Mhm.
viewers got the portals, and just want to say, as a tasker, I had expected this even after L session to get more understand. Was expecting this to get like kind of less weird, and it didn't. It just got very, very strange from every single viewer. So the white space, the portals, the technology aspect of it, just a lot of data there and a lot of correlation with some of the other stuff that we have. And when I spoke to John's, I heard this, but he asked me, he said, Dave, like, and I wrapped you guys up in protection as best I can with my intention. Whenever I send somebody anywhere around like a public figure like that, in any case, and it's not because I assume that there may be something, but I have run into things where there are. So I just feel like it just doesn't hurt to kind of wrap you guys up in that. But so very interesting, Al. I thought it was a great session. I at the time I really didn't know what to make of it, and as far as I could tell, there's some very exotic technology dealing with this, and I don't know how exactly we gained access to this. But I said to John, because he asked me, he said, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "From my perspective, John, it's like for some reason or the other, we tapped into something that is guiding the trajectory of us, however you want to describe it." Um, but I'll leave you guys with that. Dave, thanks, El. Dave, you want to do yours?
Yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
Mhm.
Yep.
Cool. So I do a recording and then I step through basically like TRV protocol, but with like a blindfold on and such. And then I take that, I get a transcript of it, which allows me to toss it into ChatGPT. And then this is what ChatGPT gave me for the session. So it basically describes some sort of technological structure. That's what I was really focusing on. My PI for this was I haven't uploaded anything to my YouTube in 5 weeks or so after my cat passed away. I spent 7 or 8 practice targets in a row missing. And then I finally got up an operational. So I was like, okay, let's do this. So when I sent my data to as well, and you gave me the feedback, I instantly was like, oh, I must have missed as well. Um, so I had that structure I was talking about. It was popping intermittently in and out of existence. And it felt like it was related to some sort of sci-fi. So like the AOLs would be Star Wars or Star Trek. During the session, I encountered a non-human intelligence that explained its role in guiding humanity to create this. And it's more like it's an actual device type thing. Uh, it was kind of outside of space and time. So when we think of, UAPs or something interacting with people, this is more like it can't actually physically interact. It's like if I could take my room right now and just m move it over to like the viewing area to the Eiffel Tower or something, but I can't actually leave that area. That's kind of the stuff that I was getting. The structure, everything was weird. So I really had all that stuff. I was very creeped out by a lot of things going on with it. Um, Inside of that, there was hints of military involvement and secrecy, potentially linked to space exploration or the secret space program. And afterwards, I started to wonder, can I jump over to something else I did?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Cool. So I looked into the Q stuff, which was it's I mean they go into like all the election fraud stuff as well, but I took an unblind view at it and I was just expecting like nothing to really be that crazy. And this
That
time
was
I used it.
before this. That was before this project. I just want to say you had already
Yes.
done this. Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
already done
Mhm.
this. And I was
Mhm.
just expecting that it was probably like the Asian guy from the HBO documentary who started 8chan. And instead, what I pulled up was like sometime in the future, like 2106, there's this council of people, and they're sending these little messages back into the timeline. And we're operating under free will, but we operate somewhat deterministically based off of that free will. So as long as they change these little tiny slices, there's this butterfly effect that directs our evolution. And that was related to basically the whole thing that kind of gets down to what people say is a bunch of fraud stuff. So that's kind of like that data that I got for this before correlates with a bunch of this. There's mentions of 3D and 5D. I think yeah, the concept of the structure popping in and out wasn't that it was popping in and out of space. It was like flatland where it goes higher dimensionally. So it appears like it's popping in and out, but really it's doing this like weird time space bending thing. Yeah. And then this is kind of what I was drawing my initial impressions kinesthetically in front of me. I'm feeling it with my hands, drew a bunch of different views of whatever it was that I was seeing. And then I talked to this fine gentleman about some stuff and what they were doing, which is very odd. And then I had this thing where I'm looking up at the sky and I'm seeing something jumping in and out of these circles. So it was like these portal like things opening up and then these sort of devices kind of popping in and out of existence. There's also this, I don't know what it was, but it was very strong visual impression. It looked like a figure like this with some sort of sun around it. And then there's also this kind of doorway looking thing, which didn't we see this in somebody else's stuff, David?
Yeah, yeah.
Where there's a hallway that has these curved edges on it. Now, I remember iPhone at one point in time, like Apple, they tried to, this isn't an Apple, but they tried to patent the curves on a phone, right? And it just reminded me of that, how like all of the hallways everywhere had these curved edges and was very futuristic, white and such. So,
Yeah, you guys, the very, and I think was probably John's, but John also described this structure, um, these, like a structure like within something or something. But this white room, this white space seemed prevalent in almost all the sessions, I think, and as well as the portals. Again, portals. So,
portals, floating
yeah.
craft in the air, popping in and out of existence in
Mm.
three-dimensional reality, guided evolution, white spaces, stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, John
very
also
odd.
had a man in his 30s being experimented on some kind of a device hooked up to his head in
That's right.
a laboratory. I have all the sessions, so David, do you want me to pull up John's and
Well, yeah.
Bobak's?
When you're done there,
Yeah.
Dave,
Yeah.
you pull up.
I think I have them too right here, but
Hmm.
if you want to go through them, you can as well. If you want to screen share instead.
Oh, you're screen sharing it.
No,
Perfect.
that's
So you
fine. That's
have,
fine. Is this now? This is Bobux, isn't it? Is this Bobux?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I think. Okay.
we haven't been through his yet, or
Yeah,
John's.
go. Yeah, you can go through Bobux first if you want. But those two had quite a bit of correlation in particular. Now, this all to me is painting a very big picture of a very exotic technology. This whole 3D, 5D thing came in quite a bit too. Which again, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, come on. And then here we go again. It's coming back in again. Okay, so anyway, here's Bubba's, and I hope I'm giving him justice for his own session here. But so he's got his basic stage two dimensionals. But interesting
The
enough,
AOL is
his
great. Yeah.
first AOL is presidential, which is a good sign of
Yep.
being tapped into whatever we're working on. So then he goes in through his more stage twos. He's get which is another interesting AOL. They're Aurora Borealis. Okay,
Hmm. The lines in the sky.
yeah. So he goes back through his stage twos. Okay, what else he got there?
Hard angles,
Look like a
technical.
technical sketch. So again, we're jumping in. He's bypassed the
Oh,
tangent of the task, and he's going right into this technology. Going right into the technology.
I think he's
Um,
joined. Hello.
oh,
Hello.
Babak, you here?
Sorry for joining later.
Oh,
No
that's all
worries.
right,
We're
buddy.
going through your
Great. We just
session.
started. Wait, let's start. Let's start again. Go ahead, Babak. We
Sorry.
just started looking at your session. So go ahead and describe. We were just talking about how interesting your very first AOL was presidential.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. AOL Tune. Okay, so you go into your. Go ahead, Babak. Go ahead. Just
Yeah, it was. I had almost this sensation from the beginning. I mean, I almost had the ideogram. Um, I don't know. I almost saw it. I saw it, and I was compelled to do it just like that. And then I had this feeling of being pulled forward towards something like a tomb or something. This was the AOL, at least. It was
mhm.
like this opening, which had this kind of marble aspect around, and in a man-made manner. And I was just continually being pulled there, and kind of, I don't know, it was an interesting sensation, but at the same time I was thinking, what the hell am I seeing here? What am I supposed to see here?
So your next, you're going through your stage twos. I see your next one is Aurora Borealis. That's an interesting
Yeah,
one.
because that was the time when I started to see colors. I was actually closing my eyes, being just here, and then being at the target, and again being here, again at the target. And these images started to form in my mind, like some shapes, like some ethereal shapes, colored shapes. And this was the only AOL that could match it.
Hey, Dave, that reminds me of your popping in and out of reality kind of
Hmm.
what you describing there. Okay, go ahead, Baba. So this is your first sketch, right? Um,
Yeah.
and the
This
way you
was
AOL. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
this was yeah, this is the moment I started to look better at the initial data. I saw something sketch like it was like a blueprint. And with that sort of notation or annotation, it was something like a circle there. And I said, okay, this looks like a blueprint. This looks like a technical sketch to me.
Interesting.
And then you see there bubbly, liquid ascending. So this is the moment when I started to see something like being placed inside the liquid, something maybe like a cooling liquid, and with bubbles and uh, an iridescent kind of color, like greenish, yellowish. Um, I don't know, like something like what you would see in a movie with crazy labs, and all sorts of bubbles, things bubbling upwards.
And your
And
AI, you have feels mysterious to you.
yeah, this was my sensation. Kind of a late sensation because I was thinking about like when am I going to have an AI break. And I had it then.
Interesting. This is a very interesting sketch. What was your what are you? Is this the technology you're describing, Baba?
Yeah, this is precisely what I saw, what started to form clearly, and there were those vertical bars placed in a vat in a liquid, and things were bubbling up. And I said, maybe this is clear. This starts to look. I'm not sure if I had that AOL like a nuclear reactor or like something which has to be placed in this liquid, these bars, in order to be cooled and to transfer information, energy, something like this. But I was not sure what I was looking at.
Yeah, it looks very high tech. I mean, from my perspective, very sciency. Um, and you get a lot of darkness related to this target. Now,
A lot of
do you,
darkness.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you mean like it's literally dark surrounding it, or like darkness is in it's like a dark topic type of thing?
You know what? It's like at first the sensation forming was like I was in this dark, vast space. And then as I was trying to concentrate on that gizmo there that you see,
Mm-hmm.
Um, I observed that it was inside a room, maybe a lab room, but most of the image of this room was darkened for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
like covered with something dark or being part of something dark, whatever. So I was not able to see the whole room, but
Mm-hmm.
darkness and vastness was across all my session continually.
I noticed too with your next sketch, you have an AOL of a portal.
Yeah. Precisely, and as you can see, I said there, I annotated there that I was being pulled inside, like a sensation of falling deep inside that stuff
Mm,
which is there. And as you
wow.
can see, at the edges, I said there that it is edged, hard and stony, but but something was pulling me inside, the
Mm-hmm.
sensation of motion.
Now, Babak, you didn't see that because you got in a little bit late, but we just went over Dave and L's session, and let me tell you, Dave's sketching portals and things going in and out of it. L's got people falling out of looks like portals to me, and it's and very much what you just described sounds a lot like what they had just previously described, from my perspective. But please go
Yeah,
on.
so all these are sensations that I received while just sitting there at the table and trying to accommodate myself better and better with the target and try to work with already what I had until then. And these things were coming to me, I mean, mostly not like AOLs, but like sensations that were a continuation to what was before.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your stage 3.5 there? What does that say? Go back, Dave, for a little bit, would you?
Where
Oh, go back up, Dave, would you?
when
Oh,
when
yeah.
trying
When trying to go ahead. Yep.
yeah, when trying to contact the target, I feel like being like sucked in and accelerating.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay.
And then I saw this thing in a dark void. I mean a very vast dark void, and this circular thing with ethereal things, going vertical and maybe undulating and being in different colors, just like you have in again in an aurora situation. And
Mm.
possibly next to Earth. Like you see, I drew there something like a planet.
Yeah. My. I would look at that as from your description in the sketch, is a planet and some kind of energetics happening
Yes,
around it or near it.
and those dots, the dotted things there, I think they were stars or something because I saw them like in a yellowish manner and dotted.
Okay. Very interesting.
And again, this idea of a gateway, and I think I internally edited a little because when I drew this, I said, well, this kind of looks like those portals from Latin America when there are those experiences accounted of priests, high priests trying to escape the Spaniards and passing through those portals that were
Mm.
opening in the stones. and the and the modern in the modern era now, people saying that they tried to recite mantras and make the portals vibrate, and they had experiences of passing through the portal inside this laboratory which contained our universe. So this
Oh,
is, yeah.
just
And I
wild
said
stuff.
their AOLBK gateway.
Yeah, it reminds me of the kind of Amaro Moro in Peru, where it's kind of like a huge carved out door
Yeah,
in the mountain and a keyhole in it. And many of the shamans go there and take people on meditations, and they consciously go through this portal underground, and there's stuff in there that is
yeah.
scientific and galactic. It reminds me of that a lot because I've remote viewed
I
similar
think you
things
nailed
as
it.
this.
Yeah. So, Bubba, your stage 3.5, especially the second one. But let's go over that. Tell me what your feelings were there with those stage 3.5.
Uh, yes, at that point I started to sense like this target is not really like this target is not really maybe on Earth, or is not really very well placed in reality. And I felt like I was in someone's head and I was trying to see from behind his eyes, and maybe from
Mm,
behind his eyelids or something, like I was inside this person's head.
very interesting.
And
This is so bizarre.
yes, and the feeling of again of the target like being in between two worlds, not really, not really tangible, or not tangible in the sense that we are accustomed to.
Interesting. Very interesting. So you go back to that dark space I see in the next
Yeah,
sketch there. Yeah.
there was a lot of dark space and probably technology and some spiritual stuff maybe.
All right. So you took a break, coming
Yeah.
back around.
Then this again, this mo you see that the same shape came back
Hmm.
again, but this time with motion again,
This is
accelerated motion and the curved motion at the same time. And then I had AOL BK CERN.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I definitely see some indication of some directionality there. Um, I would
And then
suspect with energetics or something.
and then the next sketch is precisely I saw like this bundle of energetic jets, maybe of particle, maybe of energy, like emanating from this kind of structure that you see there, um, like being transported from vast distances in an energetic manner and erupting in a straight manner like this, and very luminous, like many strands of energy, like just being transported here and emanating from that shape.
That is wild. I mean, does this
So
see when I look at this, you guys? I mean, this really reminds me. I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of the aspect that you guys talked about, like popping in and out of reality. Go on, Babak. I'm sorry to interrupt.
you see, no problem. You see, I had an AOL like portal, like transmission, hyperdrive, uh, bringing something over here, energy streams, heat, space-time wobbling, light. So it was some kind of a teleportation almost, like
Hmm,
energy being brought from somewhere and gushing out here in this reality.
fascinating.
Like
Very
a kind
interesting.
of technology that is not using pipes, man, like not using regular pipes and cables to transfer energy. Like the pipes were made of space-time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here I tried in S4, I tried to get some more data. Um, I had, if you see, I started to have this These intangibles like memory, deceased, far, being far, something like mnesis there on AOL as like something related probably to memory again, to remembering, to
Mhm.
memory.
Mm.
And I got only that part of a word, like mnesis, amnesis, amnesia, whatever.
And you've got, oh yeah, like amnesia. I get you. Okay, and then you have in your signal, is that regardless and spontaneous? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, this is an
And then
interesting
I had,
AI here. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I had the sensation that inside of me, that I didn't want to really find out what's going on, and the fear of moving beyond the AOL. Like do I really want to break this AOL
ooh,
wall
that
and
is
see the
that is
and
powerful.
yeah. So I wasn't sure if I really want to not have an AOL about this. And again, something energetic like flowing down, shimmering, a flow of something from one place to another. Again, vertical, luminous, and yet into a dark place. Again, that dark place, and like a waterfall, like an energetic waterfall, being in a distant place in somewhere in space, and just flowing like this, like a curtain of something flowing down, flowing.
Energy's flowing from one place to another,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So now spacious again, you see at the as a dimensional, and then the idea that there is a being involved, uh, that I am somehow in that being's mind.
Interesting. Sinister. You felt this target has a sinister component.
Yes.
You have a mind. You have a mind in your intangibles. Looks like.
Yeah. Slowly aggregated. I started at some point to think that maybe this is the mind of a deceased person. I had this sensation, like trying to aggregate slowly, or being about a mind, having something in mind, something like this. And then I said, move to what needs to be really explored. Uh, and then you see as an S4.5, where does a soul go when dying? And then I feel I cannot understand further the target. I cannot follow the lead for now.
Hmm.
Again, this darkness and this sort of circular path going toward infinity, something sort of a path extending, feels like being behind someone's closed eyelids. See?
Hmm.
And then
Oh.
I tried to gather the feelings about that room and the contraption that we talked about earlier. And as you can see, part of the laboratory, or said to be laboratory, is really darkened there, like something trying to protect maybe what's there, informationally speaking, or maybe it wasn't very well lit.
Hmm.
And this machine reminded me of quantum computing for some reason.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah, so you see, this is the summary. So the session seems to indicate a sort of place and one person involved. The involvement of the being made itself clear along the session. So as I was moving in the session, I started to feel the existence of this being related to the target. This place is eerie and somewhat incomplete. A lot of darkness, but also no negative vibes. Everything is chill, cosmic, mathematical, dark, energetic sometimes. The idea of death, tomb, gateway, transmutation of energy matter through non-classical means, a sense of evanescent aurora type pillars of energy, gas probably stars and darkness. Yeah, and a certain contraption in the corner of a laboratory. The room is partially either unknowable, like a dark mask has been placed on the image, or partially obscure. The contraption uses some sort of vertical rods in a container, and some sort of bubbles go up, greenish, yellowish, fluorescent. AOLBK quantum computing, AOLBK nuclear. So that was all that I could squeeze from this session.
Very good. And I just want to say, considering what you guys all got back collectively, I thought you all did great. I mean, because I'll be honest with you guys, I think we're dealing with something that is so exotic, even approaching it from a analytical perspective, fully trying to really kind of get a grasp of it. It's so beyond it just seems so exotic. It seems like you guys are all describing something that's like next level technology. Um,
Oh,
Go ahead,
and
Al.
if I may, like when I did the paper session on the second target, I was getting reptilians shape-shifting and other extraterrestrials on Earth, trying to mask to pass as humans, but their bodies were like tall, 7 feet tall, muscular, and putting on this kind of thought consciousness overlay over themselves so that humans wouldn't recognize them for what they are as non-human,
Mm,
interacting with humans for several months, like 3 to 6 months out of the year. They can be here on Earth working among humans and looking like humans. So they have thought consciousness abilities to project their mind into human minds and show them something else.
mm,
For they're able to shift their body somewhat, but they're shifting human consciousness. So humans perceive them as being human, yet they're reptilian or insectoid like. So there's something different about them that we can perceive but not really see because they're projecting things into our minds with their consciousness. And that's an organic technology of
mm.
abilities that they have, and they're among us, working among us, living among us, doing stuff.
So, Dave, you what? Because the three of you all mentioned a being of some kind. What was your thoughts on the guy that you bumped into, Dave?
Trying to remember. Like I'm trying to
I mean, he
remember
wasn't human.
this like
Clearly, he wasn't human. But a lot of you guys mentioned like you didn't have a super aggressive um, vibe. Um, but I don't. Let's jump into John's,
yep.
and then we'll go from there.
I got my
Well,
notes up here.
and I remember Dave saying in the session that it looked like it was insectoid with ridges on its head,
Yeah.
and it was talking to you.
It was also very muscular as well and taller.
Hmm,
But the
interesting.
vibe that I got from that was more what my ChatGPT thing tells me of my session is that it was like a Big Brother vibe where it had a presence of an elongated alien figure with a nasally robotic voice. Figure hints at some sort of technological guidance or treaty with humans, comparing humanity to a little baby brother. And their purpose is to help us advance in very small steps, but kind of like letting us screw up along the way as well.
Hmm, okay.
Yeah, so I also got the sensation of a being, but I was not sure, or didn't get the alien vibe. I missed that part, if there was.
Mhm.
But anyway, the perspective, the place from which this being sees things is clearly not from here. They seem to see things from the orbit,
Yeah,
and they
higher
have
perspective,
access.
higher perspective. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that
they're
was clear.
sitting above.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you want to pull up John's,
Did
Dave?
John just have the video or did he also have the PDF?
He had a PDF too.
Oh,
Just the. Oh, you don't have the PDF on you?
I
I
have
might
I
not
have
have.
his
You got it?
PDF. Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm gonna go and pull it up right now.
Yeah, just for the people that do listen, John, and we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. But John can do what he wants. But John has a very interesting video that relates to this session as
Okay,
well. But
so
go ahead.
do you want me to share that right now?
The PDF, you
Oh,
can share the PDF.
Yes, John's PDF.
real quick before we move on, I've
Hmm.
done 3 sessions now on like near-death experiences and such, and
Hmm.
that circular shape with the stony ridge thing to like something at the end is exactly what I get every time. And then when you go to the end of it, you end up in a white void area, and there's just so much corroborating data with everything that we're talking about here. I just found that
Hmm.
really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um,
So,
I guess I'm just going to run through it from John's. This is John's page one?
yeah,
Okay, okay.
it's page one of 18.
Yes, let's see what he's got here. Something is out of
Do you
out
want
of
me to
order.
do you want me to go up or
Yeah, you could. But hold on, let's just say, okay. Let's see, black mist. Um, okay, yeah, you can go up. Axial. I remember he's got that. Okay, go ahead and scroll up if you would. Now John had described. Oh, look at this. It's like an AOL ectoplasm. John described the technology primarily from what I recall, and he had sketched something like a transformer. It's very interesting. Go ahead, El. You can scroll up. Okay, hold on. So we got forceful. Um, he's got movement. He's got all this dynamic action. Technology, benign to benefit. He's questioning himself. Okay, so absolve, restitution. Go ahead and scroll up a little bit. Energetic, energetic event or moment in time. Okay.
you also have possession?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an interesting. It reminds me of like the infinity. I wonder if that's what he's relating to here. Um, yeah, it's hard to read his writing, but if you look at some of the sketches, though, he's got the dots. Um, Positioning. Go ahead and scroll up a bit now.
You said that this was a vortex of some kind, an energy
Ah,
movement
okay,
in the
okay,
video.
okay. Yeah, static. What does that say there? Explosive. Yeah, we should have probably went over the video first. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, scroll up if you would.
This came up several times in his video as a vortex, like an energy moving, spinning, flowing.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So he's got like coil, current flows. Go ahead and scroll up a bit. Coil, transformer, um, opening, spinning. Does that say something? Motion, aberration. So it's static, and he's so basically from our perspective, this looks like he's a lot of energy, a lot of technology happening here. Um, Go ahead, O.
He said something about people being captive,
Hmm.
sensing people and places.
Yeah. Terminal velocity, transgression, solid. Uh, okay, keep going.
He was saying dulce.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and jump in. Oh, 'cause I can't. I'm going off my phone screen here.
Yeah, he's saying solid, a lid, pertinent to something, dulce, numbing, evasive.
Tracking, is
Some
that track?
Yeah,
Touching.
tracking some kind of a technology ally, that there's an ally of some sort.
Okay.
I love this one, the white room or space.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes.
That's
The
great.
white room again.
The
Lab?
lab, yeah.
Lab, see?
Yeah. Hmm. Static in the air. Pressure, air, metrics and measurements, time, unit, scale, timeline. Interesting.
Like two openings in a room, two portals, vortexes,
Hmm.
maybe, like because there's one door in, one door out. That's what it looks like.
I just want to say real quick here. When I talked to John about this, I remember asking. I said, from some of the data, um, it's almost like there's two timelines happening at the same time, and it's almost like they could look up ahead and see what's going on and kind of make adjustments. And that was kind of like, from my perspective, a very rudimentary, just what I was kind of seeing with this timelines and this, that, and the other. But what else does that say there, Al? Can you see?
Yeah, it says vortex-like tangents, lines being mapped, superconductive, amassing something, airflow, flow in space, a lot of flow of elements. He keeps saying vortex, like that
Mm-hmm,
pops in several times, and now he's mapping the timeline of what this is,
mm-hmm.
past, present, and future.
Covered,
Mm,
concealed.
blocked,
Yeah, like he's got
weighted.
he's got current timeline and I don't know what he had before that, but just interesting. He's pulling in the timeline in general with this.
Yeah, he kept talking about franchising. Something has been franchised and put into focus and motion. Something has been put forward and done. And it felt positive to him, splendid. At some points felt not so positive, and then just realigning and regaining control of the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going past, present, and future. Seeing something regaining control from above, like cities or something from aerial view from above being seen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was talking about.
Hmm.
Poetic, dynamic, dynamo, depressing. What does that say? Changing?
Chaotic, evaporative movement along the axis points, support negative aspect, axial support negative aspect.
It's again this to me. I feel like he's going in on this energy that a lot of you guys discussed. What Babak described as aurora borealis, and some of the stuff that you guys have. I mean, to me, that just looks like energy. Is what he's trying to express there.
Yeah, and he keeps drawing this vortex infinity symbol,
Mm-hmm.
energetic frequency of some sort. That popped up 3 times in his video.
Yeah, spinning out of alignment, mass. Let's say there.
Spectrometry.
Yeah,
Iridium, iron, tumult, split lines, copper, electricity. Rotating mass, yeah. Alignment, something going in and out of alignment. Superflow, electrics, mass. I guess he's looking at the axis points of this.
yeah. Time sensitive or persistent. Box exploding. Okay, so a tired person experimenting, question mark. Okay, so mind trip. Mind craft. Walked out of a, yeah, I think because he did describe this guy. Yeah, there's some strange things going on there with people.
Yeah, he said walked out of an area, given blanket, given the clothing back, a man.
Mm-hmm.
Though miss so he was talking about something about having a missing ingredient. Um, circumventing a cycle of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
and something being prescient and needing immediate action. And he drew a guy in his 30s being experimented on in some kind of a white room laboratory with electrodes on his head and not wearing
Mm-hmm.
clothing. people being nude, bodies being processed.
I'll tell you, it's so bizarre, guys. It's almost like we're getting a peek from like another layer of our reality almost. It's just really bizarre. Um, what else does he have in there? Stonewalled, capacitated. All right, go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, he said a male figure, young to middle age, light hair, intern, midterm.
Midterm, yeah.
Yes. Enforcement subdued, tired, drained, incapacitated, stonewalled. So some guy being experimented on, and in the video he was saying that this was in a lab of some sort, and this guy had electrodes connected to his head, and then something was being done to his mind. That after that was done, he was walked out, covered, wrapped up in a blanket, and then given his clothes back.
Looks like a spiral formation to me. Looks like a portal of vortices.
Says imprisoned magistrate modeled, terminated, or terminate.
Wild and energetic. What does it say? Going off the charts.
Yes.
That's an interesting little data bit
Could,
there.
could those be like brain waves?
Could be.
Enclosed, looped in, technical.
See some of this like untouched versus time. Is that what he's got down
Hmm. Franchised, moving, increasing, flowing, torpid.
He's got carnal knowledge, like having carnal knowledge.
Something is being amassed, mounting, rigidity, prized, controlled, carnal. Yeah. Carnal knowledge, explosive, dynamic release, flow, outflow. A lot of things being amassed. Touched, yeah, touched versus tame. Untouched versus tame. And like lines, rigid.
Does that say velocity expression?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, terminal velocity expression.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me so much of that structure from the other session.
From your time slot set from the you talking about that? What are you talking
No,
about?
the last session we looked at
Oh, oh yeah, Bobbux.
with the energy moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, again, a mass torque, splendid balance, meaning, beneficial, turning of labs, loss, loss of control, a plunge, rigid, control, apparatus, mechanism, and he said grooved and pleated, rising, falling.
Oh, that looks pretty cosmic to me. Quantum flux. What is that? Okay, it says virus, but quantum flux, spinning.
Gravity spinning motion.
Mm,
There's those portals popping in and out.
hmm
Uh-huh.
Again,
Yeah.
Yeah. Space time. What does it say?
Infinity.
Interesting.
It reminds me of those kind of energetic shields and what people are seeing in the sky, like blue frequency and blue energy that I had in my first part one of the remote viewing. Like these kind of shielded portals or shielded entrances were popping in and out in the sky, and sometimes the shielding would come down and people would see it. That reminds me of this in the first part. Permanent spiral.
Loophole. Vital flaw.
Superlize dicey.
Again, he's mentioning the technology again.
Yeah. Virtual vital flaw, and he's doing kind of a tunnel thing or something tunneling.
Does it say something like something AMNE there? Amnesia,
Amnimeter. It looks like he's talking because he says something in volts technology.
Mhm.
Dual. Looks like it says dual volt technology. Maybe.
Yes. So a lot of spinning, a lot of looping, something like going like this, vital flaw with an arrow.
Related to time.
Fractured, loosened, bastion, bastardized, decline in use or level. So like this technology is being used, sometimes it goes up or down in levels and declines and being used again. That's what he was saying in the video.
Okay. Is this used
Is,
still? Is that what he
yeah,
said?
yeah, is this still being used post Nexus point? And he said he saw somebody reading a book or books, shifting in time forward, spinning.
That almost just kind of reminds me of like a singularity or something. You don't know. It's just interesting.
That looks
Yeah.
so much like the other, like the thing with the two doors that we were talking about. Does it not? It's like the same drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Just some more
Yeah.
lines. Yeah.
Blowing apart or blowing at the end. Some dropping in nature, something being repositioned, revitalized, calm and peaceful, going down. Like something being changed in nature to more of a positive, rewriting history in a positive way. Because I was reading the middle part. So something shifting in time and changing. And then he says end of session.
Interesting. Yeah, he had a very interesting video too, and I'm gonna end up posting that, and hopefully he does too. So here's as the tasker for this project. Here is kind of my basic summation, and I'd like to hear from all you guys. One thing from my perspective is uh my expectations for this target were to be relatively mundane, to be completely honest. But it's clear to me that I've seen enough work that there's clearly something going on at a very high level. I don't need, to be honest with you, I'm surprised you guys were able to access. It's pretty amazing. What at first I just want to say too to anybody that ends up watching this, by all means, anything like this, I would suggest you go out there, task your own remote viewers, task it differently, do whatever you want. But everybody on this project was blind to this target, and they all basically, among other things, described as very exotic technology and this manipulation of time and space and a lot of exotic stuff. So that much I think is is pretty evident to me. Let me ask you this: do you guys think that after doing this project, do you think that the voting process does it mean anything? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, man. Neither here the actual voting process doesn't mean anything. It's just something that we have to do every 4 years, like this show that has to go
Mm-hmm.
on. And after we're voting anyway, the things are continued to go the same direction, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You know, I have been kept my eyes on the US elections. I have my own political opinions. I'm not going to talk about it now, but for all I know, maybe both sides have their hands into this thing, you know. But both
Mm-hmm.
sides tried to use the secret services and different backdoors to try and do something. Because I followed a lot of of the news and the alternate news and whatever and whatnot. And I know that at least there is some sort of an electronic system that could have been used, but now what we're seeing here, I don't think it's related to that. It's some
Yeah,
kind of
to me, this seems like it's on a. I mean, I don't think this is one
yeah,
party or the
this
other.
is
To me, it's higher
rubbish, you know.
level.
Yeah. It doesn't relate what I'm saying now to our sessions. It's something
Mm-hmm.
completely different because if it was something mundane, then at least one of us would have got it, but no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts, Dave?
Um, I mean, I feel like a lot of this is describing that technology in the time that I'd taken a look at this priorly. And it's basically describing the technology of how timelines get changed. That's what it kind of looks like to me. Originally, you'd think like, was Space Force involved? Was it about capturing uh, connections across like continents and stuff to see if there is some sort of electronic manipulation? But all of our stuff really dives into that really weird stuff outside of time and space. And that's what I got previously as well. So that that's very interesting to me.
I mean, I'm going to title this "The Hidden Hand" because I think it's appropriate for what we're looking at. I mean, it's the best thing way I could describe it. It's not what I initially would have thought to call it the project, but
In that session, I had a hand over top of the earth as an AOL, and it was basically like the hand that's controlling reality. And it was
Well,
doing this directed evolution thing to drive us in a particular direction. Now, in terms of do elections matter, that was the thing that I got in that last part, which didn't deal with the technology. It was just like, is this possible or something? And it's not that a political candidate is important. It's that there's some like very long-term goal and that there's this butterfly effect that happens. So maybe it looks like something good or bad is happening today, but that actually has, nth order consequences 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, right? And
mm-hmm,
that it's kind of outside of that system where they're taking into effect the long game. So maybe you'd allow something that in our timeline seems atrocious to happen because it actually prevents something longer term from happening. But it didn't seem like it was very specific to like who do they want to win in 2020 or 2024 or anyone. It's more like who do they want to win? How do they want humanity to go long
mm-hmm,
term, hundreds or
mm-hmm.
thousands of years?
Yeah, yeah. How do we get humanity to this point, at whatever point that they're trying to to guide us to? So yes, yeah. So from that perspective, it may not even be. It may be we vote for the person that's going to be the best trajectory. What if we don't? So if we don't, is that where something steps in, starts slicing up our timeline and injecting these changes to make it be whatever it is?
If there are
What?
things getting inserted and we're operating under free will, but they can see the interactions of when they make an insertion to the timeline. They can see how we react to the free will because the end game
Mhm.
gets changed. That's possibly what's going on here, or what we're describing. This is a
Yeah.
lot cooler than just, some normal corporate espionage type of stuff.
Well, that's what makes you wonder if this is what I've talked about for the longest time is if there is a predestined plot, and it from our perspective it just feels like it's not, but we may be walking a path that's plotted out already. We just can't. We don't, from our perspective we don't know. We're playing
The,
it one
the
frame at a
sacred
time.
timeline. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
Elle, what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I've remote viewed in previous remote viewings stuff concerning the voter fraud in US and 2020 election in Canada. And I can only say this, government is not what it seems. And um, uh, the presidential people who are elected and vice presidents, they might not all be human. They might not all be organic completely from what I had in my remote viewings. I had cloning involved. I had non-human aspects involved. So for me, voter fraud can very much be possible because we're not being told what's really going on behind closed doors in government. We may elect somebody, but we don't really know what they're doing behind closed doors. They may appear as one person, but they're totally something different. So for me, what I found in John's remote viewing, like the person in the lab being walked out in a blanket without their clothing, experimentation and mind control is done on humans, on maybe presidential candidates, interns, who's working in the White House, stuff like that. Like there's more to government than what it seems. Doesn't matter who you vote in, they're doing stuff, advanced stuff behind closed doors that we're not privy to, but perhaps we're seeing a shift in a window in time, what's really going on behind closed doors. Government, Space Force, secret space programs, advanced technology, they're not disclosing that to us publicly. Maybe we're seeing what these teams of government leaders are talking about behind doors, not just closed, not just voter fraud, but something more beyond it that we were tapped to look at and tapped into more than what it seemed and going further to what that stuff is. I mean, Congress is keeping secrets. In a remote viewing that David did for me, Congress was talking about reverse engineered crafts, whistleblowers, you know, NHI technology. That's something David saw in something I tasked him with not too long ago.
I think
So I,
that was where Congress was meeting in secret or something, I think.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at crash site retrievals, NHI technology. So there's a lot in government going on, more than what we know about, but we're seeing a window in time what that reality could be and much more. That's my perception.
Mhm. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for being involved in the project and the hard work. I think it's a great. It's one of those that it's just quite bizarre and leads to more and more questions. Like I said, that's why I invite people to dig into it because I think there's something very interesting going on here, and I think there's a lot that we're not being told. And it just this, from my perspective, is like a whole nother. I've always said to me, it seems like we live in a layered cake of reality, and to me, it's like this is something that's um, playing games, at the next level. So anyway, so thanks, guys. Any final thoughts here? Anybody wants to add?
I was getting AI signals controlling people's minds through advanced tech, so I wouldn't put it past that that's happening on some level in government um, and other organizations and stuff, trying to control people's minds to influence them to vote one way or another. That's a possibility too. That was at the back of my mind. As I was, I guess, at the end of the target or in the middle. How is mind controlled and AI used to just put subliminal things in people's minds and that we need to be aware of this technology, that this stuff exists out there.
Hmm.
Well, if it's about time travel or time or timeline engineering, uh, I suppose already you observe that our reality seems to be more and more uh, chaotic and more stupid decisions being made, or are they really stupid? I mean, and nothing seems to make sense to us like it was making sense like 40 years ago or 30 years ago, like things were going forward following a certain logic at least. But now you see accidents, now you see last hour decisions. Now it's like this. Now it isn't like this. Now we're going to do like this. Okay, so I had this idea since a few years now. It's been a few years since I had this idea that governments were already using, for example, AI to try to model the different responses that the population or other governments are going to have with respect to their decision. And then why? Because I know that, for example, in the First World War and the Second World War, men were doing this, making decisions, and you could sense that there was someone behind that decisions. You knew it was a decision clearly made and things were following. But now you can see this lukewarm thing, which where nothing, everything is stalled until something happens, but it can be stalled for years. So what I understood then is that only AI thinks like this, because what it does is to take a little piece from here and compare it with a little piece from here, and it's going to say to one politician, you're going to say this thing because it may have this effect, and then you'll see that politician withdrawing his declaration, and you're asking yourself, what the hell, what is he thinking? This is what he's thinking. Actually, he's not thinking. Something else is thinking for them. And this is why everything takes so much time now. Even a simple war, excuse me, but uh, most of the things that they are fighting for today in 1980, 18, they would have been solved like slam bam and whatever, decisions, and bang, everything was solved one way or another. But now it's not. It's like a continuous chess game. And when you have a lot of computational capacity to allow you to make to model the development of history, then certain people like you, me, like we are highly intuitive, we are going to sense that something is not quite right. Okay. And this can be done classically using AI, or it can be done non-classically using some hidden technologies that we don't know about, but I see we bump into them during our remote viewing sessions. And a few weeks ago, I actually had this sensation that our timeline is being like manipulated, and in my head, I was feeling like two things competing, uh, like two outcomes competing, at least two outcomes. And I said, what is this? I was showering, I was not doing remote viewing, and I was rubbing myself with the towel, and suddenly I had that sensation and that knowing that there is something happening. And we all perceived a person. Someone perceived a person in a lab, and experiments are being done. And I saw there maybe brain waves. So I mean, maybe they are using something like in the theory of the Montauk chair, like using some guys to use their mind to imprint something on the society, on whatever is going on, and maybe using also timelines. But when even us, when we're doing remote viewing, we are kind of manipulating the timelines in a micro at a micro scale, because we are finding something out, and the task manager can react on what we are getting from the future. So but imagine what can be done at greater scales when you have billions of dollars black budgets at your disposition. But we are feeling this. Some of us are feeling this thing. Yeah. So what if whatever is going on here is like in our world, like politics and whatever is actually happening inside someone's brain who is linked to a chair and cannot escape, and he's actually used to compete this to compute all this stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
from my perspective, it does play into the algorithm. The I don't know. To me, that the holographic universe theory is more and more and more and more and more likely. But yeah, from my perspective too, Babak, it seems like literally to me, it's exactly that. Like somebody's threading our timeline. Um, like Dave mentioned, the sacred timeline. Like you said, there may be two timelines and tangent. Um, and it could be we're competing with another timeline. I don't know. But a a literal timeline seems to be involved here, and that's not just with this project. I've seen that with many projects. Um, then you see so much of one thing from all different directions. It's hard to ignore it. But what's you're saying, Dave? History proves futures past. Is that what it is?
Future proofs the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I I actually got my start in simulation theory and stuff probably like 21 years ago or so, and that led me to go look for glitches in reality. And now I notice them all the time. And one synchronicity that I just had was yesterday I was in my shower going like this, washing my hair, and then all of a sudden data started coming through, and I came up here and like finished off the session that lasted like 35 minutes or so. But there's something about showers and doing that. My latest glitch was when my cat had passed away. I went to go get his favorite sweatshirt of mine, and it wasn't there in the closet. So then when we picked him up, back, I wanted to like rest him on it. So we had looked again. We spent hours trying to look for it. It was literally just right there in the closet where we had spent hours trying to look. It came back. And I had a basketball that I had one basketball of that, and now I have two. And I don't even know where those things came from. But I notice stuff like that all the time. And so I've long suspected that we're having branches trimmed in the timeline where for some reason like we have free will, stuff goes along, but then if you pay attention close enough, you'll start to notice that things are changing. And this could be part of that.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I want to go ahead and try and wrap this up, guys. And thank you, guys. Dave, thanks for hosting. Thanks everybody for participating. And you guys have my arm for paper if you need it. I'm definitely willing to return the favor at any point. And thank you for participating, everybody. And you're free to do what you will with the data. I plan on posting this once I get power back in my house. Um, but yeah, so I just want to say thanks, everybody.
You're
Hmm.
welcome.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you.